Love is not what we've been taught to think. This episode reflects on Part 2, Love, from The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck, exploring love not as a feeling to chase, but as a disciplined choice to support growth, our own and another's. It's an invitation to rethink romance, dependency, sacrifice, and commitment, and to see love as one of life's most demanding and meaningful forms of work. Most of us think we understand love. We fall into it. We feel it. We lose it. We chase it again. But what if much of what we call love isn't love at all? In The Road Less Traveled, psychiatrist M. Scott Peck does something quietly radical. He strips love of its romance, its sentimentality, and its cultural myths, and places it somewhere far more demanding. He places it in the realm of choice, discipline, and growth. This episode is a reflection on Part 2 of that book, where Peck asks a question that unsettles almost everyone who hears it. What if love is not a feeling, but an act of will? Peck begins with a definition that feels almost austere. Love is the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Not emotional growth, not comfort, not happiness. Growth. Love, in this view, is not something that happens to us. It is something we do, and that immediately disqualifies many things we habitually call love. Infatuation, romance, attachment, need. Those may feel powerful, but they require very little effort. They often collapse the moment discomfort appears. Love, as Peck defines it, begins after the feeling fades, when effort becomes necessary. One of Peck's most bracing claims is that falling in love, that euphoric merging we celebrate so passionately, is not love at all. It's a temporary collapse of ego boundaries. For a while we feel whole, complete, merged. But this state is involuntary, biologically driven, and short-lived. And when it ends, many people assume love has ended with it. Peck argues the opposite. Real love begins when the illusion ends. When two separate people re-emerge. When differences surface. When effort is required. That is where love becomes possible. Not before. Peck draws a sharp line between love and dependency. Dependency says, I need you to be okay. Love says, I choose to support your growth, even if it challenges me. Dependency clings. Love releases. Dependency fears independence. Love encourages it. This is uncomfortable to hear because dependency often looks devoted. It says things like, you're my everything. But love, Peck insists, is not about survival through another person. It is about two whole people standing side by side, not leaning so hard that both collapse. Here's one of Peck's most countercultural ideas. Love depends on separateness. You cannot truly love someone if you are not fully yourself. Love is not fusion. It is not becoming one. It is not losing yourself. It is extending yourself. And you cannot extend what you do not possess. Real love respects boundaries. It allows disagreement. It tolerates difference. Sometimes it even requires saying no. Peck repeatedly returns to a word most people don't associate with love. Work. Love requires attention. Real attention. The kind that listens instead of waiting to speak. The kind that notices subtle changes. The kind that stays present when it would be easier to withdraw. Attention, Peck says, is one of the clearest expressions of love, because where our attention goes, our life follows. To love is to accept risk. The risk of loss. The risk of confrontation. The risk of commitment. If you love deeply, you will grieve deeply. If you love honestly, you will sometimes upset people. If you love over time, you will be disappointed, challenged, and changed. Avoiding these risks may feel safe, but it comes at a cost. A smaller life, a guarded heart, a quiet kind of loneliness. Perhaps Peck's most demanding claim is this. Love is disciplined. It is not governed by mood. It does not disappear when feelings cool. It does not flee at the first sign of discomfort. Disciplined love shows up, speaks truth, holds boundaries, keeps commitments, not because it feels good, but because it is good. And yet, after all this rigor, Peck ends Part 2 with humility. Love, he admits, cannot be fully explained. Even when disciplined, even when chosen, even when practiced. There is something about love that moves through us, something that exceeds psychology, something that feels like grace. Love is both an act of will and something that happens beyond our control. It is practiced and received, chosen and mysterious, human and transcendent. If Peck is right, then love is not something we fall into. It is something we step into again and again. Not because it's easy, but because it is how we grow.